So tonight we had the go home edition of Monday Night Raw for SummerSlam, which is this coming Saturday and Sunday night. On the whole, I'm gonna say something that this overall show, as far as like getting my hype levels for SummerSlam even like to an all-time level, to the next level, this show really didn't do much for me, because I feel like this is an ongoing thing where the go home shows, for the most part, they're kind of already like, you've already seen the max build for what you're gonna get. At this point, I kind of just me personally, I am just ready for SummerSlam to get it over with and to like just get through the event. That's not like a negative. That's not anything like trying to be negative or anything. But I just feel like with the build that we've gotten, I feel like this is all that the build is going to be at this point. So obviously, these go home shows really don't add much as far as major storyline developments and major key angle developments. The one thing on the whole that I did enjoy was the last, I guess you could say, the main event spot, right? We had Jey Uso against Bronson Reed earlier. There's a promo by Heyman and by Jey Uso where Heyman essentially tries to manipulate Jey Uso into like thinking that Roman Reigns doesn't give a single shit about him, and Jey Uso obviously gets heated and goes back at Paul Heyman. Eventually we have this match between Bronson Reed and Jey Uso. The match is really just a setup for the angle that comes at the end of the show, because eventually Bron Breakker gets involved, and you know, it's 2-on-1 against Jey Uso. Obviously we know Roman Reigns is in the arena, OTC is in the arena. He comes out here, he makes the save for Jey Uso, but eventually both guys get, you know, clapped by Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker. The heels get the advantage, and the heels absolutely tear into the baby faces. Particularly Bron Breakker tears into Roman Reigns, gives him a spear in the barricade to him and Jey Uso, leaps over the announce table. I mean, just, you know, gives him the whole kitchen sink at this point, right? All these people, they respond to him. They're his people now. This cameraman, that cameraman is his cameraman now. This is all now Bron Breakker's, and that's how we end off the show, with Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed standing tall. And also, by the way, Bronson Reed stole those expensive ass Jordans off of Roman Reigns' feet, which I thought was comical as fuck, because obviously we all know how much those things retail for. You know, a hefty penny, right? So those things aren't cheap. So I just kind of got a kick out of that whole entire thing. But this kind of led me to believe, like, as far as SummerSlam goes, I think, right, Roman Reigns, he's an established guy. Roman Reigns, if he loses this match, he does not suffer in the slightest bit. Now, obviously Seth, at this current point in time, he's not, you know, really involved with this whole faction, right? We don't know if he's going to show up at SummerSlam. But with that being said, how much of a badass do you want to make Bron Breakker? I say have him pin Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. Give him the definitive pinfall over Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. That way you establish the fact that Bron Breakker is now the true big dog in WWE, the true badass in this whole entire faction, in this whole entire company, right? And now that they have the power, because if Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, who have no sort of leader at this point with Seth Rollins, if they go in there and they get stomped out by Roman Reigns and Jey Uso, that's not really going to help them out. That's not really going to make them look good. So if I were booking this match, I am 100% giving Bron Breakker the win over Roman Reigns. As far as everything else goes, like I said, not much really was sort of forwarded here. We had AJ Styles get the win over Dominic Mysterio in a mixed tag team match here with the Kabuki Warriors. Obviously, Wrestling 101 dictates that if the babyface gets the win here in the go home show, he's probably going to end up losing at SummerSlam, and that's probably what I think is going to happen. We had a Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria segment here as well. Not much of a segment here. Lyra cut a promo here on Becky, but Becky interrupted her. Eventually they brawl in the ring and Lyra stands tall. So not much of a segment here, not much to really hype you up for their match at SummerSlam. We had another Grande Americano. I don't really know what they're doing at this point with the whole Grande Americano gimmick, because it started out with Chad Gable, right? Then it went to Ludwig Kaiser. Now it's assumed, I've heard, you know, people mention that the person underneath this mask was Pete Dunne. So I'm just like, what are we doing with this whole thing? with Grande Americano? Are we building to some sort of tag team match? Are we building to a battle royal or something? Like, what's the deal with the whole Grande Americano thing? Because I thought the game plan was going to be Chad Gable against Ludwig Kaiser eventually when Chad Gable is healthy and ready enough. But I don't really know what the whole deal is with the Grande Americano thing. I think they maybe just want to sell more merchandise as far as that whole Grande Americano thing is concerned. I don't know what the whole game plan is for this point. And we had an all-star women's match here. It was Naomi and the Secret Service against Io Sky, Stephanie Vaquer, Nikki Bella, and Rhea Ripley. So obviously, if you take a look at both teams, who do you think came out with the win here? I don't know why the Secret Service is on Raw. I don't know why Nikki Bella is wrestling on Raw as well. She's not even at SummerSlam. There hasn't been mention of that. But these women here, they got the win over the heels and they stand tall. That's probably leading to a Naomi win down at SummerSlam. Like I said, not much else as far as that is concerned. Like I said, the main talking point that I wanted to come on here and mention was the Roman Reigns Braun Breaker angle at the end of the show. Also, by the way, before I forget this, they did pay tribute once again to Hulk Hogan at the beginning of the show. Again, a lot can be said about Hulk Hogan and the sort of individual that he was. But as far as strictly wrestling is concerned, the man was a legend that paved the way in a lot of ways for all of us to be here and to, be involved with professional wrestling. Because without Hulk Hogan, there is no WWE. There is no major wrestling organization. There is no wrestling boom without Hulk Hogan. So again, we send our condolences to Hogan's family and his friends that have been affected by this. And as far as that is concerned, we will see all of you here for SummerSlam weekend. It's going to come up here real quick, so stay tuned for all of that, as far as the coverage is concerned. And until next time, I will see all of you on the next one.